Hi guys. Today we're going to be showing you how to paint this canvas here, the rainbow tree. My name's Jessica. I'm going to be your instructor and we are going to have some fun. So in your kit you're going to get a canvas. We're going to send the colors you're going to need. Going to have different size brushes. This is a bigger brush for your background, and there's actually a really cool technique that we use to make all of the leaves on the trees with Q-tips that are bundled up and secured with rubber bands. A few things that you'll need at home. So it's a good idea to put down like newspaper or something on the area that you're going to be working on, just because acrylic can be hard to get off of stuff, especially clothes. If you have like a paint shirt or even an apron, be even better. You just want to wear that because acrylics, they don't really come out of your clothes that well, so you don't want to wear something that you would be sad if it got a big stain on it. You're going to need a cup of water to rinse your brushes out in, and paper towels to dry your brushes. So I guess we'll go ahead and get started here. The first thing we're going to do is paint the background here. You notice here it's a blue that kind of fades into a purple. If you don't like those colors, you can always switch it up, do like blue going into like a green for grass. It's whatever you want to do. So yeah, you have your, we'll send a paper plate. Those are our handy dandy palettes. So we'll start by making our blue. It's gonna be mostly white. So we'll get a couple good brushfuls of that. Just a little bit of blue, won't need a lot. And then I'm a big fan of teals. So I'm gonna add just a little tiny bit of yellow to mine. To make it like a nice robin egg blue. So that's a good color, but I'm gonna pick up more white. Okay. So now we're gonna start at the top and we're gonna work our way down. Notice my brush strokes, I'm doing really long brush strokes that go all the way across my canvas. Our blue ends about there, but we're gonna fade the purple up into it too, so it's okay if it's a little too far down. All right, so I have my blue. If you want, like how this has like streaks of white in it to look like clouds, take your brush, you don't have to wash it, just pick up a little bit of white and just streak it through your sky a little bit, and then just do a couple real easy back and forth motions, and that'll blend that white in. And you can make those stand out as much or as little as you like. So I got our blue down. It's also a good idea to paint the edges of your painting as you go. It just looks nicer sitting on your wall that way. Paint those real quick. Nothing fancy. It just makes a big difference as long as it has color on it. going to wash my blue out. So with these sponge brushes, the best way to rinse them out is to put them in the water and then use your fingers to squish the paint out. Okay. Got a lot of water in it. And you always want to dry your brushes after you clean them. So if you try to use a wet brush and you just pick up paint, try to paint with it, it's gonna run all the way down your canvas. So just give it a nice drying off. Okay, so I have this. Now we're gonna make our purple for the bottom. So once again, good amount of white, a little bit of this purple color here, and if you like kind of like a pinkish purple, you can add just a little bit of red to it. Make like a nice orchid color. Okay. So now same deal, I'm going straight across. And as they start to come together, since both our purple and our blue is still wet, the two are just gonna blend right together. Get the bottom real well. And then don't forget your sides. And the bottom. So I usually just turn it upside down to get that part. Background. So now we're gonna make our horizon line there. That's the term for the spot where the land in your painting meets the sky. So that's where we're gonna put that. So I'm gonna do that with purple and red. I'm making a darker tone this time, so it'll stand out from what we have down here. Okay. So with that, I'm just gonna go. Line doesn't have to be perfect. You can even make it a little bumpy, whatever you're feeling. And just use your brush to drag down. That's gonna blend it with our bottom here. Looks pretty good. All right. Now, to save on drying time, we have this one. It's already dry and ready to go, so we can just keep on moving. So next part is gonna be starting our tree. So you have a few brushes here. This bigger brush will be good for your trunk, and then as you get up into the limbs, you're gonna wanna use more of your smaller brushes. So, got some black here. All right. Let's see where I want my tree to go. There. My tree a little bit of a lean to it, but it's okay. We'll fix it. Trees are one of the most fun things to paint because there really aren't two that are ever exactly alike. So whatever you come out with is what your tree was supposed to look like. There's your Bob Ross wisdom for the day. Tree's a little chunky today. Okay. So now we have to start thinking about our limbs, where we want all of those tree limbs to go out. So we'll start with some bigger ones. Maybe this one's quite thick. Maybe we have a limb that comes up right through the middle. And this part doesn't have to be perfect because a lot of our tree is going to get covered in the leaves anyway. This is just kind of like our framework. My tree is kind of funny. And just take your time figuring out where you want all your tree limbs to go. And it is gonna look kind of creepy at first. This black tree on top of our colorful background. But it'll look good when it's done. Let's see, maybe we'll have some come out here. Like that. Felt like we needed a side limb there. So you see how whenever I add a new branch to it, I also thicken the area right where the two touch. That's just a nice trick for making trees look a little bit more realistic when you do them. See, that's pretty nice. We'll just do a little something right here. Okay. So now I'm done with that bigger brush. I'm going to move on to my smaller brushes. Now, a good tip for painting straight lines with solid colors is to just water it down a little bit and make it more like ink than paint. Thinning the paint out just makes it flow a lot easier, so your branches will look a lot nicer. They won't look scrapey like So, let's see, where do I want some smaller things to go? There. So whenever you do branches like this, when you have thick branches coming out, they're basically just going to keep dividing into smaller and smaller branches as they go up. Let's see that. And the more like wiggly and weird you make your branches, the more realistic it looks. So see, you want to try to bring every big branch, you want to try to end it in like 2 smaller branches. So we'll go ahead and just let that be our tree. Okay. So we're going to give them a little bit of roots here. Our tree is pretty thick. It needs some good roots to support it. With that brush we were using earlier on the trunk, it should still have black on it. Give it a few, like several swipes on your plate. We're gonna do a technique called dry brushing, which is where your brush hardly has any paint on it. And then we're gonna use that to just put some shadow around the bottom of our tree. So you see how lightly it's putting that black on? That's what we want. I don't want a ton of shading, just a little bit, just enough. That looks good. Okay. So now is when you're going to want to start thinking about what colors you want to do on your tree. So in your kit, we sent you purple, which is for the background, but then the other 3 colors we sent you are known as primary colors. So yellow, red, and blue are primary colors, and primary just means that you can't make those colors by mixing other colors. But with these, you can make basically any color that you want. So let's do some review here. So let's say I want to make orange. Orange is between red and yellow. So I think I want more of like a bright orange, so I'm gonna use less red and more yellow. Get some red and get me some yellow. And you can always go online and just look up like your standard color wheel, and that shows you all the different colors and their combinations. So I have red and yellow there, and we're making a nice bright orange. Perfect. So let's see. I definitely want to make a pink. Green. Alright, pink is just red, just a little bit of red, and a good amount of white. Alright, so there's a pretty good pink. We'll do green. So green, like orange, is a secondary color. So secondary colors are colors that you get when you mix the primary colors together. So green is blue and yellow. So let's just get a little bit of blue and a good amount of yellow. So I think I want like a nice lime green, so that'll be a lot of yellow and just a little bit of blue. So that's pretty nice, but I think I want it a little bit brighter, so we'll just get some more yellow here. There we go. You can even add a little bit of white to that if you want something even lighter. I think we'll leave it at that. Let's see, and then we have red, blue, purple. We already have purple. Purple's the last secondary color, by the way. That's when you mix red and blue. But sometimes that combo can come out weird, so we just sent some purple with you. Alright. So now have my Q-tips. basically you'll have two things of Q-tips here. When you are using them, because we have about like 6 colors to cover, try to use like blue and purple on the same one, and like green and yellow, or yellow and orange, just colors that are beside each other on the color wheel. It'll just be better for A, not using so many Q-tips, and B, it won't make your colors yucky when you put them on. So once again, I recommend looking at a color wheel during this. Let's see if we're dry yet. Looks like almost. Well, we'll start out with green. So I have my Q-tips. Give them a few pats in my paint. And I'm gonna start picking some areas. And it's not any particular order, just kind of doing what I feel like. This is a very nice green. Right now this picture's reminding me of Halloween. Oh, I wish it was Halloween. Our tree, it's like the color is going to come out a little bit farther than where our branches actually end. So you can do some out here too. Okay, so I did green. So from green, I can move on to, I can make a blue with that. Just get a little bit of your blue. Mix it in there. Okay. Start doing some. Try not to use up all your white space too quickly. Just because we have a lot of colors to get through, so you want to have somewhere for those colors to be able to show through nicely at. But I know it can be easy to get carried away. So I'll just do a little bit better one there. Alright, so now I'm going to use the other side of this. Let's say we start with our pink. Pink sounds good. Load your Q-tips up. Just start pressing your color down. Pink. Now with that same side, I can go ahead and move into my orange. So let's see there. If your colors start to mix too much on here and they start to make like ugly colors, just let the layers that are already on there dry, and then they won't mix afterwards. but if you want to do it while it's all wet, just use your color wheel and try to keep colors beside each other in here that are beside each other on the wheel. Or just wait for them to dry. Alright, so let's see. I need purple, yellow, red, okay. I could probably do yellow right now. So with my orange, pick up some yellow, work it in, and ooh, that adds some nice brightness there. And make sure that you're find those like blank spots and try to fill them in. You don't want to keep going over the same area lots and lots of times. Yellow. Now we need red and purple. Let's see. I only have a little bit of purple left in here, so let's see what we can do with it. Mixed it with some pink, so we're mostly just getting pink. That just leaves us with a little bit of red and we're done. And we're trying to fill those open areas so our tree looks nice and full. Now you're pretty much just gonna repeat that at the bottom. It doesn't have to be as detailed though. Just get some leaves going. There, I have them going in like a U pattern down here. Let's see. Some orange, yellow going. These are like our leaves that fell on the ground. green is what we need. So this next step is optional. If you have an old toothbrush at home, I'm going to show you how to splatter on top of this just to give it a little extra something. So with your toothbrush, dip it in your paint water. Let's see, what color do we want to splatter? I think I'll do a nice blue-green color. My color on here. Maybe get just a little bit more water. So you basically have a wet toothbrush, and then you just scrub some paint up into it. Use your thumb. You might want to do this part outside because it is going to go everywhere. No one wants to get yelled at by their mom for that. So you take your thumb and just run it across the bristles. And it'll start to make tiny little splatters. I'll do one more color. What colors do I even have left? I think I'll do pink. So I'll pick up some red, pick up some white, together. If at all possible, you want to try to do your splatters while you're painting sitting up like this. If you do it laying down, there's a possibility of like big drips coming down off your toothbrush. So if you can do it standing up, that is best. So same thing, I have my pink and just going kind of splatter at random places. Actually looks really cool when it hits my trunk here. Stick that back in your water. All right, last couple finishing touches here. So get your red paintbrush, which is that really thin one. We're gonna use that for black again. If you want to shade your tree trunk, just make up like a gray color with your white and black. You can just give it a little bit of a highlight here. Comes down. You can go up into your other branches. If you do like little brush strokes, it looks more like bark on there. Just little squiggly whatevers. Okay. If you want it to have like a hole in the trunk like that one, just take your black, just make a circle and fill it in. Nothing fancy. And then if you want to make a swing, take your little brush, water down your black, like we've done before. Let's see, I'm gonna have to make 2 straight lines coming down. Okay. See, I can tell my paint isn't quite watered down enough because it is not going on smoothly, so I just needed a little bit more. Even if they're not perfectly straight, it's fine. Okay, so I have my 2 lines coming down. Make my seat, which is just a triangle, not triangle, rectangle. Just a rectangle, doesn't have to be perfect, it probably won't be perfect. Can make little nubs coming from the bottom, like that's where it attaches. You can even take a little bit of that gray we made a second ago, just give it a little highlight like the tree. And then the most important part, sign that puppy. Let's see, doing it from a weird angle, so. All right, and there you have it. You made your own beautiful rainbow tree. Thanks for tuning in with us.